Welcome to Getting Your Edge, How to Downsize Your Home and Life podcast. My name is Dennis Day, and I'm with co-host Judy Gratton. Judy, do you want to share a picture or two of your new grandbaby?
Oh, I don't know how well they'll turn out.
While you're checking that out, let me introduce our guest. This is Ashley Werder.
Can you see?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Little grandson, John Moses Cook.
All right. And he's
Pounds, 11 ounces.
and this is day 2, right?
Yes. Or no, day 2. You're right.
Day 2. That's remarkable. And let me introduce our guest. This is Ashley Werder. She is former Northwest resident, and I met her through Kenmore Camera. She was offering photography classes, and she has moved Puerto Vallarta. And so we're here today to talk about Ashley is running a business as an American in Mexico. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us how you got started in photography?
I've always loved photography. I can't remember starting it really, but I remember I was about 10 when I got my first camera. I had an aunt who was into photography, and she always had a camera. And it just got to a point where I was always at every family gathering, taking her camera and running off with it. And she just gave me the freedom to do so. And I just fell in love with it. I was in middle school and I found out that it was an actual job that I could have. And so I started taking photography classes in high school, and I ended up going to an Institute of Photography, Brooks Institute of Photography in California. I got my bachelor's degree in photography. And then I moved to Hawaii. I started working at a large format printer. And from there, I got a job at a stock photography agency. When I moved to New York, I kept that job and just worked virtually. Then I started to teach some classes at the local camera stores, and I started doing some like image restoration and shooting portraits of my own. And then when I left New York, I just sort of continued that work in Seattle. So I did some portraits and workshops in Seattle. We went to Bainbridge Island. We did a whole bunch of cool workshops. I started my little camera club at Kenmore. And then when we decided to move to Mexico, it was just based on this idea that I'm going to be doing like travel photography workshops in Mexico and to do some more adventurous stuff.
That's quite a, what do you call it? Resume. Very impressive. You've been moving along.
Wonderful.
Tell us about, you've moved there and it's a brand new place and there's lots of different things to learn. Tell us about starting a business in Mexico.
Sure. Well, it did definitely take me a little bit to get it started. When I first moved here, the priorities were find a place to live, get my kid in school and things like that. And then it was starting to build this business and wanting to offer photography workshops. There's really only one other woman in the city who offers photography classes, and she mostly does film photography and to like more local people because she's a local herself. And so I really felt like I had a niche with teaching the photography workshops, and it's such a travel destination, and I had so many cruise ship clients. And so first I needed to design my workshops. So I picked some themes of photography that I wanted to teach, like travel, sunset, portraiture, seascapes. And then I had to sort of design what I was going to teach where, because I wanted it to include a little bit of a tour of my travel photography workshop. We mostly stick to the Malecón and the main part of town, but we get to see quite a bit of the main attractions. And for my night photography class, we're on the beach in front of the pier because they light it up at night, and I can do star trails. I have a fire dancer. So that helps me with the painting with light. And so I had a lot of fun, like designing my workshops and making Vallarta like part of my subject.
Did you go to the hotels and the cruise ships and different other businesses to get them to promote your product to people coming in?
Yeah, actually, I made a brochure that had information on some of my classes and portrait sessions because I offer a few different sessions, like 30 minutes, 60 minutes session. And so I did make a brochure and I took it around to all the hotels and banks and pretty much anywhere where people like leave their cards, or there's so many tours and things to do here that virtually everyone has a little place for you to advertise your certain tour business.
Were you doing a little bit of bartering? Say, if I'll do some photography for your business if you help promote that, or
Definitely, especially during the COVID years when there weren't so many tourists to photograph. I definitely did a lot of, I went to businesses and I've said, I'll do a shoot for you and your business if I can use this as a location for my portrait, or if I can teach photography here. Or I did lots of shoots for restaurants, and they still invite me to events, and I get lots of free food in hotels. Even when I went to Guadalajara, I did message quite a few hotels and offer to trade them photography for free stay. I have this one hotel in Tlaquepaque who was very happy to exchange with me. And they have such a beautiful hotel, and so to take pictures of it was fun. And then I just include to them photos of what I take while I'm there. The zoo in Guadalajara is amazing. The town of Tlaquepaque is incredible. I basically just traded them photos for free stay, and I know that anytime I go to Guadalajara, I will have that free stay. And when they've come to Vallarta, like I shot their daughter's quinceañera, and there's definitely a lot of ways to barter and use your skill set.
wow, I bet a quinceañera must be an amazing event to be a part of.
Yes, that one specifically was during the COVID years, so it was on a boat with much less people. But the quinceañeras are fabulous. They are an absolute extraordinary event. And so the dresses are incredible. Yeah.
But how, let me ask, go ahead, Judy.
What were some of your challenges on getting a business started in Mexico?
There are definitely some rules as foreigners starting businesses. I didn't come as a tourist. I came as a temporary resident. And again, they change these rules all the time. But at the time that I came, temporary residents were allowed to start businesses. I hired an accountant and I told him, I want to start a business. And so he set me up with the tax system so that I could pay taxes. And then he said, now just go to immigration and let them know you started a business. So I did. And I got there and they said, you have to ask us to do that first. And they had their all of the process of what I was supposed to do before I went to the tax office. Okay. So I started that process, and then they changed the rules while I was in process. Only by the grace of my accountant's mistake was I actually able to start my business at that time, because they had already given me my tax license. And so I did it backwards, but I did it backwards just in the nick of time. The rules have changed again. And now, temporary residents can start businesses, but nationals and everybody this time need to have RFC numbers. It's like, I guess, a social security number or a business number license. Everybody's required to have one now. Foreigners, if you are starting business, you're definitely required.
So would you suggest if someone is considering this to go to immigration first?
Yeah, you definitely need to go to immigration first, and they'll tell you all the requirements for the time. Okay. And then you're going to be spending a lot of time there and at the SAT office, which is where you're going to be set up with your taxes. So it definitely is a process, but it's certainly worth it, and you can make it happen.
Do you have a city business license that you have to?
On my permanent resident ID card, like on my ID, there is a special classification that says that I have a work permit. That, yeah.
Are there any cultural differences in running your business?
I wouldn't say that there's a lot of cultural differences. I mean, I have a lot of things from the U.S. that I would consider as like a standard practice that maybe not everyone here would think of as a requirement, but like I have a website and I paid for it and I make sure it's polished and perfect. And a lot of the business in Mexico don't have a website. They have a Facebook page or a WhatsApp phone number. My business cards are very professionally printed, and some people it's a handwritten business card. And so those are some differences for sure. It's not as prim and polished always, but there's still ways to network and
You
exchange.
mentioned when we were talking to you in our previous podcast about living there that there is a sense of how do I want to say this? You don't anticipate that everything is going to happen in line right on time.
Yeah.
Therapy or the mañana idea.
As far as the businesses go, there's definitely a little bit more like reliability. If we have an appointment, the appointment's generally going to be stuck to, But definitely there are a lot of, it's a lot more waiting than you're probably going to be used to in the United States. Some processes take a little bit longer. And to combat that, there are other things I can do while I wait for these things. And I just don't do everything in the same order that I might have done it in the United States, but I can still get it all published.
So some of these business practices like the website are you connecting to a U.S. business or are you connecting with a Mexican business for the website?
For my website, I just kept my website from when I was in Seattle. I just changed the domain name and gave it a fresh face. But I use Zenfolio and GoDaddy. So they're both American-based companies. I've always found the customer service with both of them really impeccable. So I stuck with them. But for lots of things, there are definitely local things you can pick for. We have all types of foreigners and locals who do, your social marketing, social media marketing, or that are there to help other people with their businesses. So it's just a really entrepreneurial place, and there's really room for everybody to offer something, which I thought was really cool.
You mentioned that entrepreneurship is very supported in Mexico. So would you encourage expats moving into Mexico if they want to work, that it's a good place to consider that?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some things to keep in mind. The wages in Mexico are far different than the United States. The locals are going to be making, possibly like 200 pesos a day, $10 a day, or $20 a day, depending on what their jobs are. So their wages are very different. And I think that's important to keep in mind. So you're not going to come to Mexico and get a job at a cafe. I really don't see Americans doing that if they need that job to support them. If it was just to be more immersed in the culture or the language or something and have something to do, sure. But I think that if you're going to come here and if you need to have an income, if you need to make money, then you need to know what it is you're going to do and not just get here and figure it out. But there are a lot of avenues and things that you can do once you get here.
With your business, are you you've kind of transitioned less from the teaching and tour to the portraits and weddings and so forth. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did move here mostly with the intention of doing my workshops because that's like where my passion is. I love teaching photography. But as far as clients go, the market for destination weddings and destination portraits is far greater. So that's really my bread and butter is weddings and portraits. I do lots of different types of events also, but that would be my main source of income is vacationing families. I get a lot of large groups. It's like a set of grandparents and maybe their three kids and their kids, and everybody's on vacation and they want group family photos. And then certainly the wedding here in Vallarta are a well-oiled machine, and It's such an accommodating place. All the resorts you really have no way of having a bad wedding here. They're going to take care of you, and there's probably going to be fireworks to boot. So
Wow.
the wedding is really just like a no-brainer. And they're a lot more fun to shoot here than they were in Seattle. There's a lot more outdoor beach sunset weddings as opposed to indoor, maybe less light or just not as interesting of a place.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure I should ask this and we can edit it out if we need to, but are you charging a 2-tier system with, say, if I'm doing a wedding shoot for a US based family, one price versus doing the same product for a local family?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have my price listed in dollars and pesos, but I charge as an American. I mean, my prices are not the highest of my profession here, but they're certainly higher than most. And I really don't have much of a problem looking at that price, but those would be marketed to foreigners or expats. But my local clients, when I have somebody reach out to me in Spanish or something that I can tell that they're local, or if it's a friend of a friend, I do certainly offer a different price because I just feel like that's the right thing to do for me. It's sort of like just that I appreciate the people being so welcoming to me that I'm going to give back to them, and also just understand that they wouldn't hire me if they had to pay those other prices.
It's a business reality. I mean, yeah. Okay.
So what does your daily routine look like then?
Daily routine, including personal life, is I usually get my son off to school. I go train and I come home, and either I have a shoot in the morning. I usually offer my shoots from like between 9 and 11 in the morning for the morning ones. And sunset is usually between 5 and 7, depending on the time of year. So if I have a shoot, it's that. Otherwise, I'll be editing or marketing. And I just try to find new ways to make money in Mexico as a photographer. Like I just last week shot all the school portraits for my son's school. So my day will be packaging all the prints and giving them to the parents and collecting my package payments. And that was something new for here because they don't really have those school portraits like we do back in the United States. Just, always trying to find ways to grow my business here.
It was a really good idea. So that's something that you can do again and again and again. So once they love.
Yeah.
And you've been there 6 years, so you've been able to make a living doing what you love in a foreign country, and it's been successful.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely took a few years, and that COVID interruption was a little bit rough. But even during COVID, I was making new classes or teaching online, or and currently I'm working on recording all of my classes to sell them online so that I can have a revenue happening. I've really made a name for myself. I feel like I'm one of the highly recommended photographers when people are looking on Facebook for, who should I hire? I've just worked with a lot of the people here. I really tried to shoot for as many businesses as possible. I don't do studio shoots because I don't have a studio. My house I love my house. It's super cute, but it's not exactly set up for that. So I use a lot of locations around town, and that just has given me so many opportunities to make connections with businesses, business owners, models, all types of clients. And I really also tried to embrace my photographer community because, there was already photographers here when I got here. There's more and more new ones every year. But I really didn't want it to be competitive. I didn't want to feel like I was coming in and stealing people's work or stepping on their toes, especially if they were Mexican national. But the photography community here is really great. We all work super well together. And if I can't cover a shoot, I can hand it off to any number of my friends, and they do the same. So I just felt like that was a really important was to be involved with that community, and instead of making it so competitive, because there really is enough work for all of us. There's 80,000 weddings a year here in Vallarta in Banderas Bay. There's really no shortage of opportunities. It's just sometimes you have to gig for them or tell people when they need to hire you.
So as a foreign entrepreneur, are there any regulations? Is there anything that kind of sets you apart or makes it more difficult for you in Mexico than, say, Mexican national to do what you want to do?
I would say probably for a Mexican photographer, they're going to know a lot more of their client. My clients come and go. I have very few clients that are repeat clients for me. I do have a few families that have condos here, and when their families visit, I shoot them every time their grandkids come to visit, I shoot that family. But it's very rare for me to have repeat clients. And I think that that's something that the Mexican nationals are going to have more of, because their community and their clients are really local like themselves. So I feel like that's probably one way that we share that like workload. But I really don't have much problems connecting with either. I think that my Spanish helps me to be able to sort of do both.
Tell us about how, say, probably specifically Facebook, but other avenues of social media have helped build your business in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, Facebook is huge, especially in Vallarta and in our little Banderas Bay here. There are groups for everything. Any question you could possibly ask if you need a food recommendation, or we have hundreds of different types of Facebook groups. And I think it's just like a common practice. If you need to know anything, you go to Facebook and you find a group and you type in a question, and there are so many responses. So it's really been helpful for me to have such a huge network of people that I've worked with, because that helps me get recommended so many times. When somebody says, "Oh, I'm looking for a photographer," I see my friend who's a model who makes peanut butter who's recommending me, and I see my restaurant owning clients recommending me, and 3 or 4 families who those people don't still live in Vallarta, but they're still in those groups. So they see the question and they say, "Oh, I use this person." And so it's really a huge networking plus, Facebook specifically. But I have also booked weddings from my Instagram, and that's always surprising to me, because I feel like it's just so puny. I don't post on there much. I don't use hashtags, but there's a lot of ways for people to find you. And I feel like the social media marketing is extremely important here.
You mentioned that people have WhatsApp numbers on their business cards. What is I thought the positive thing about WhatsApp is that it doesn't last long. Is that why would you want to promote your business?
Our phone service doesn't work as well here in Mexico. Text and talking on the phone is not as clear and easy. So pretty much everyone has WhatsApp. WhatsApp is also a great place where you can make groups. So a lot of business owners will make a WhatsApp group, and then they can send out like, "Oh, hey, we're having a special today." And it goes out to whoever has chosen to be in that group, or like, "Here's the details on like this event." But yeah, Facebook and WhatsApp are certainly the 2 must-haves for a person in general, but especially a business for sure.
How about Google profile?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's certainly a good thing to have. But as I mentioned, like most people don't have websites in Mexico, and it's just it's just one of those little differences. It's just not one of the things that they're less likely to look for your website than they are for your Facebook page.
Interesting.
Is it possible, or do you need, or do people incorporate or have LLCs or anything like that within Mexico?
Well, I mean, I registered my business with the tax department, so I have that. But that's another little difference here is, it's definitely possible, but I just don't think it's always necessary.
You don't see it a lot among other businesses.
No, and I really wouldn't know how to answer that for like a Mexican national who started their business. Maybe that's more of a thing that they do, but certainly for me, it wasn't necessary.
Okay. So, Ashley, would you be willing to share some photos of your business from your business, some classes, weddings,
Yeah, I've
etc.?
got my website pulled up, so I can show you some local photographs.
There we go.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Okay. I don't know how in the way of these I am. So these are just some local photographs that I have. This is portraits, some seascape. This is obviously from a wedding.
Wow. It's quite the list.
I do mostly outdoor portrait sessions, engagement, proposals, family portraits. And then this would be something I would teach in a landscape class or my travel class, more portraits and weddings. Slow this down. This is from my night class, loading here, that one. But I do like to find lots of businesses that I can use as cute backdrops for a lot of my clients want business headshots. That's one of my main portrait niches is that, there's so many people who work from home. There's so many people, everybody needs pictures of themselves on their websites and social media. So I'm always looking for businesses that I can do branding shots in. Like this, for example, is not branding, but it's in front of a Chinese food restaurant. And it's just like, I love Mexico for their abundance of backdrops. I always have something beautiful to shoot or something beautiful to shoot. So these are just some examples.
Well, a lot of pregnancy photos.
Yeah, we are, I guess, a popular baby moon location. Your last vacation before baby.
Nice.
And then this one would be from my travel workshop from the Molotov. I'm sure why some of them are loading, but lots of digital nomad business portraits. It's a sunset workshop, and then just lots of the wedding and engagements.
Oh, that's adorable. How about the food class? I'd love to see that.
So this is teaching people how to photograph food?
Yeah, I'll do a food workshop or private lesson, and we just go to, I don't know if that's going to load my internet. Maybe before.
Oh.
So I do a lot of private workshops or classes for food photography where we just go and order food and I teach them how to shoot different types of food, different angles by using your backdrop, trying to, I don't know how fast these are going to load and I don't want to show you guys just empty things. So maybe I'll just keep it here.
Okay. Beautiful.
Just wait for that last little.
That was food important in Puerto Vallarta?
Definitely. We have a lot of foodies here. The food is incredible. And there's pretty much every type that you could ask for. I won't rave about all of the Chinese food. I will say that has been a little disappointing. But as far as Mexican food or different types of cultures, Indian food, Italian food, we have a lot to choose from. The seafood is amazing. Steak, not so much. The cows are a little bigger and beefier in the United States. But as far as seafood and just fresh fruits and vegetables go, I mean, you really cannot beat Mexico. The quality is incredible.
Wow. That looks fun. And you get to eat it.
Yeah.
And you have specific restaurants you go to that kind of worked out something to allow this to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always looking for a new one because I like to keep it fresh and have options. But generally, yeah, I just reach out to businesses that I think are cute, that I have nice lighting. And when it comes to the food photography, like I'm obviously checking their menu to see like what they offer and what I can teach with that. But just in general, I have locations for portraits I like to find a lot of just cute restaurants or businesses.
Fantastic. I've been a great admirer of your photographer because you came in years ago and taught classes at the camera store, and I've watched through your Facebook, and you have fabulous photography. It's just beautiful. I really am an admirer of your work. And it looks like
Thank you.
you enjoy your work. It comes out in your photography.
Yeah, I do. I feel like that's, do you want me to stop sharing this at
Sure.
this point? Okay. Sorry. It's very well. What did you just ask me, Dennis?
I said, I love your photography, and it just seems like the joy you have in taking photographs of special occasions, teaching, it comes out. I mean, it's visible in your work.
I definitely love that I get to do what I love as my job. It's not always the most glamorous, right? I love photography, but wedding can be a hassle. You know, it's a lot of work. Sometimes the portraits they're commercial portraits, right? So sometimes it can get a little bit old or daunting or a little bit burnout. But for the most part, I learned years ago how to make portraits of other people, my own expression, and just being able to, choose the backdrop or change poses or have different combinations of them, whatever it is, that I can make it like my own little piece of art. And I also always try to have creative. I don't want to always shoot the same commercial portraits of different family combinations in front of the ocean. I do a lot of creative shoots with my friends and all the suggested friends on Facebook. There's always people in there. And if I see somebody beautiful, I always just add them and say, hey, I'm a photographer. I'd love to shoot you. And just to keep it like fresh for myself. So I always have something that I'm enjoying doing. And I always have the option to go into nature and shoot waterfalls and macro photography. And there's just such an abundance of beautiful things to take pictures of here. It really, it's hard not to enjoy it.
We will post links to your website. You do portrait photography, you do wedding photography, you do engagement photography, family photography, and then you offer classes. Anything else I missed?
Nope. I mean, we also have the Vallarta School for Girls. It was started by Francie. She also started our food bank, and she runs several restaurants in Vallarta. So her newest project is this School for Girls, and it's about 60 girls from 8 to 18 who get school completely free. They get 2 meals a day, and it's one of the highlights of living here is getting to teach them photography. I had a student who came to me once from Arizona and took a class with me. I stayed in touch with her, and she has been able to fundraise to get these girls, all 20 of them, brand new cameras to shoot with. So every week we get to have a great adventure. And I just took them to the beach last week, and next week we'll do the Malacon, and then we have their exposition coming up to print their photos. And yeah, it's just really fun to be able to share that with them.
Oh, that's amazing. And send me that link because we can post that with, and maybe we can get some of our listeners and subscribers to donate. That's just amazing. It sounds like you're integrated into the community.
Yes.
Yeah. That was really important to me. And it also just sort of happened so naturally because it is such a welcoming place, and I'm just really ambitious. So I was able to find lots of things to do and people to be around. But it was important to me because this was really the first place, living in Washington, California, Hawaii, New York, Washington again, and being all over the place. This was really the first place that felt like a home, and that, it wasn't going to wear off after a few years, that I really felt like this was where I was meant to be. And so it just sort of came naturally that I built such a community around myself because I just loved it so much.
That's fantastic, Ashley. I'm so glad you have made this work for you, and I can see the joy that you have. This is awesome, and it's an inspiration for others who are thinking. Any last words of advice for somebody who is thinking, I want to go to Mexico and start a business?
Yeah, I would just say do your research. What is it that you're offering? Who else is offering that? What can you do differently to set yourself apart? And just, research them and have a plan. You'll adapt your plan many times, but still just to have a base to start off of, I think is important. And to be as involved as possible, because really, especially with the expat community, it's extremely welcoming, and do anything. If you can put up a post that says, "Hey, I'm Dennis. I want to move to Mexico. I need to make some friends." And there will be dozens of people who will reach out to you and say, "Hey, join this group. Hey, come with us." And I would just encourage you to take those opportunities, because the way that you will grow your community and your business and in general will be awesome.
Thank you so much, Ashley. This
Thank
has really
you,
been
Ashley.
helpful and really beneficial. I hope this helps people out, that if they're considering this, your information will give them a little head start there.
Yes, thank you.
Tell us if they wanted to look at your work some more, what your website is, your Facebook page.
Sure. My business is called Nomad Family Photo Group. So you can find me at nomadfamilyphotogroup.com or on Instagram with the same handle.
Okay. Any last words of advice, Judy?
No, I don't think so. I think this has been very informative, and I think I'm ready to pack my bags on this.
So thank you, everyone, all our listeners and watchers. Appreciate it so much. I hope this has been informative, and we will see you next time on Getting Your Edge, How to Downsize Your Life podcast. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.